This is the Leo Clamaco Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Leo Clamaco Podcast. I'm your host, Leo. Today's guest, I have been really excited about. I'm going to read this all because I want to get it right. He is the co-founder of EverCoach by Mind Valley and Global Grit Institute, the host of Master Coaching with Ajit podcast, author of Live Big and the Book of Coaching. He's a coach on wealth, relationship, and business. Ajit Nawalkha. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you got it right.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, Leo.
Super excited to have you here.
Super excited to be here.
I just named off a lot of things. My first question to you is why? Why do all this?
So the different seasons of life which led me to do different things, like pretty much anyone, right?
Right.
The first driver in life was I grew up in a household of 23 people in India.
23 people.
Yeah, you know, grandparents, everybody
Yes,
lived together. And
yes.
my parents didn't have 22 children. No, that was not how it happened. It was my grandparents, our uncles, cousins, everybody lived together.
Got it.
And so the first season of my life was all about saying, I need to get out of this situation. I mean, I love the people around me, but it is not comfortable.
Yes.
It is not convenient. And I like space, generally.
Right.
So I was like...
How many
no,
bathrooms?
One bathroom for every 4 or 5 people, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, approximately. So we were
Yeah,
okay, but
yeah.
not... like we were still sharing a lot of space.
Right.
There was no space really
Right.
for anyone.
No breathing room.
No breathing room. Like nobody had a room. Let's just say that way. You know, you had rooms and everybody shared. So anyway, so that was my first, you can say, iteration. So why start was because I needed to get out of that, and that led me to make certain decisions in life very early on that were driven towards creating abundance. That was mostly unconventional because the conventional paths didn't really fit the style that I wanted to live in life. Like the conventional model was become an engineer, become a doctor, become an accountant.
Right.
And I was a decent student. I was like a A-, let's just say. And I could have become an engineer, but the more I talked to engineers and the more I learned of what they actually do, at least the ones I was talking to, the less motivated I was to do it. You know, like it's not, I can make the money, but it's not going to be fun at all.
Right.
Or it's not going to be something that I can do for a long time.
It's too technical,
It's
right?
too-
You have to love that technicality of it.
No, so technical I love.
Okay.
I love physics. I love chemistry. I love all of that. So that I'm down for.
Got it.
What I didn't love was when you become a software engineer. At least at that time, it might have changed now. So I'm not saying it's true now, but at that time, if you became an engineer, your first 5 or 7 years were you testing for bugs. And bug testing is
Debugging.
the most mundane, boring. Just not a fun thing to do.
Right.
You're a small cog in a really large wheel. You're not really expressing creativity,
Right.
at least at that time.
Right.
So my understanding was this is not going to be interesting like how studying physics is.
For sure.
Or chemistry is, or computers is, or coding is overall. I like all of that, or I liked all of that. But I didn't like what the role of an engineer was. So I was like, that's not going to be my thing.
Right.
And so early on, I started making some decisions to learn skills that were not conventional. And that led me to make some career moves that were extraordinary, that were risky.
What
But I
kind
was
of
in my
skills did you
20s.
learn? What kind of skills did you gravitate to that
So
were unconventional?
in my 20s, actually in my late teens, like when I was 17, 18, I started doing part-time jobs. I started working for educational institutes, designing their worksheets, designing their program structures in partnership with the teachers. So in India, there's a big culture of what is called tutors, where you go after school education. You go to these institutions to learn and go deeper into the subjects that you're studying.
Makes sense.
And I would go work for these institutions because they were all great teachers, but they didn't know how to use computers. They didn't know how to design these templates. They didn't know how to have worksheets.
Got it.
So I went in there and designed their logos, made their worksheets. And because I knew and I loved computers, I'd learned a little bit about it.
Right.
That became my first thing. But what I really learned about is the value of creating programs that gets great results for kids, which would add up later on. Like today in my world, one of the reasons why my students do really well is because they have really structured learning that they can go back to. They don't even need to talk to me.
I see.
If they feel lost or confused. We develop really good self-coaching programs where people can coach themselves out of a situation. When they're learning how to coach, they're also learning how to self-coach, which allows them to be able to be really powerful coaches for themselves while being great for the world outside of them. So, but that I couldn't have foreseen that, right? That was just something I was like, I'm going to just acquire what seems right for now because I need to make money. And I don't have a path. I don't have a model. Nobody's a model around me. And my father was an entrepreneur. He was a businessman, but not a successful one. Clearly, I mean, I was living in a house with 23 people. He didn't figure out how the money part of it. So that was, let's say, for example, an early out of the realm scale. I joined a student fraternity, which was uncommon in India. It's very common here, but it's uncommon in India, which allowed us to interact with internationals. Which allowed us to go interact with companies and nonprofits because we would place internationals in those companies or take Indians and get them placed outside for cultural integration.
Cool.
And not necessarily through companies, but through but the real point was cultural understanding of different parts of the world, which gave me an understanding of the world, of how human beings are everywhere.
Right.
Again, couldn't have connected those dots at that time, but now I go, well, that's why I am very comfortable with any culture, really, and I have a sense of kindness and understanding for any culture from anywhere in the world.
Human empathy, right?
Human empathy, overall understanding of human beings was developed at that time because I realized all humans really are kind of same, like essentially at the core of it all.
For sure.
And that love is the way. And that led me to join a media company. I was always interested in media and I was always interested in education, but I didn't connect the dots.
Got it.
So then I joined a media company because that was my desire.
In India?
In India, back in India, yeah. And that taught me about sales because I got hired for a sales position and I aced it really quickly, mostly because I found a unique way to sell things. Most of the media companies at that time was selling, here's a newspaper, here's space in newspaper, let me sell you this.
Right.
This media company that I was hired for had newspaper, radio, TV, cable network, a bunch of things that they had, and I would say, buy all of it, and here's a discount for it, right? So I was selling what is called a multimedia package.
Is that something that you had liberty, like the approval to do, or you just made that change on your own?
No, I sold it first to the founder, the owners of the company, saying, well, we can sell it as a package.
And they agree with the idea. Got it.
And they said, that sounds like a great idea.
Yes.
Go out and do it.
Very
because we
smart.
don't have a team for it, right? So that gave me the skill of sales very early on. I was maybe 23 at the time, and I was making a presentation a day, pretty much sometimes 3 times a day, right? So I would do all those things that early on taught me many different things. And coincidentally, while I was doing the sales job, one thing that I stumbled upon was that we should do something on internet. Like this one company was also not really doing anything on internet, and India was just picking up the wave. This was 2007, around 2007. It was right before the crash. And so India was kind of picking up the internet thing, but we didn't really know what to do with it. I kind of sold this idea again to the owners of this newspaper or media company, and I said we should have something. We built a social network at the time. We didn't know about the existence of Facebook, which is kind of, now that you think about it, you're like kind of dumb because Facebook was already a big deal in US, but we just didn't think of it.
Yeah.
And we didn't think of it that will come to India so fast. And so whatever, we started the social network 2008 starting, I think around that time, Facebook becomes a big deal in India.
That's crazy.
We stand no chance. We're not technically savvy. We were not ready for it. We were nowhere close. So kind of was about to abandon that project. But what I learned in that journey was that there is something about internet that we should be more careful of.
Yeah.
Because we are spending way too much time on it. Like I was spending too much time on it.
Still am.
And none of us, and none of us really had skills at that time of how things work here. Like we just thought it was just these big software companies that could do, or you have to build platforms.
But you should at least pat yourself on the back because your finger was on the pulse.
Yeah, I do. I'm awesome. I'm not doubting that. but I'm just saying that's if you were asking, hey, what were you trying? Well, I was trying everything. And wherever I felt like, well, that seems like it has something. So I went and I sent text messages to all my friends saying, hey, I'm looking for any company that is willing to train me on internet because there's nothing in India really, or even in India if there is somebody doing it.
Right.
One of my friends was in Malaysia at the time, and he said, hey, listen, there's this little company here. It says maybe like 10 employees, but what they have is a great culture. They have a great time. They are in the internet business. I don't understand what the hell they do, but apparently they do well enough. And they are looking for interns.
When you say internet, do you mean like
anything internet? Online marketing,
everything.
Social media, SEO. I didn't know anything. And I just knew the terms at that point. I just didn't know anything. So lo and behold, I get this message. I go, okay, this sounds cool. I apply. I get the internship. So I'm taking a downgrade at this point.
Right.
Because I was kind of like, somebody who helped co-found an internet company going to an intern, right?
But you get that, you know.
Yeah, I was
to
like,
grow,
I
you got to
wanna
learn. Yeah,
I want to learn.
It's a
So
trade-off.
it's fine. It's a trade-off. So I take a downgrade. Now I'm making $400 a month, but this company is Mind Valley. And at that time, Mind Valley was not Mind Valley that we
Incredible.
know now,
Yes.
right? At that time, it was a small little operation of 10 people working out of a house, not even a real office.
Wow.
And I go in there early on, and we were able to create campaigns and things just because of education and the systems that unfolded. That in 6 years, I'm the CEO of the company, and the company is doing 40 million in revenue. So that's kind of how the transition of learning and growing and doing different things than normal kind of led me to the place where I am today. And then, of course, I started a company. And then I had a dark night of the soul when I was the CEO of the company because of my life was falling apart, even if my career was going great. And I loved my career and I love Mind Valley and everything. But my life was falling apart. So I had to take a beat. And I said, hey, listen, I got to step out and I got to do me.
Right.
And in that process, I'll probably do something because I can't just sit idle. That's just not how I'm wired. And so I decided to do what I thought was most meaningful at the time, which was to support coaches because they were supporting me. So like this is my contribution back to people who are kind of saving me in a way, you can say. And that led me to start something called EverCoach, which became eventually the company that merged into Mind Valley and now is Mind Valley Coach.
Okay, I have so many questions there. First, help me dot the lines for me of how you went from an intern to a CEO. How did that, because you say 6 years and that's super fast.
It's very fast, yeah.
Like most people can't even fathom what they're gonna do tomorrow or a year from now, and to have that dedication to wait, to go through the struggles of being an intern all the way up to the CEO. Please break that down for us.
So there's a few things to note. First of all, you don't start with the vision of being CEO because when you start, you're often not even sure if you'll have a job, right? Because you're starting.
Yeah.
You don't know.
And you were an intern.
As an intern, I didn't know if I would even survive this. But what I think, and this is something that's very important for anybody that is in a job. First of all, you can make tremendous amount of money being in a job. Don't always think you need to go start a business.
Right.
That's good for some people, but it's a high risk endeavor with a really high chance of failure.
Yeah.
And a lot of pain in the journey. So you must love that pain to want to be an entrepreneur. Otherwise, don't be one.
And you can still make money being a number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5.
Yeah, there are more millionaires who became millionaires because they never started a business.
Exactly.
They actually did great jobs and made sure that what I'm going to share is what they were doing as well. That's my study, at least on it. And so they became wildly successful, more successful than the entrepreneurs who started the companies.
Incredible.
And it's a recent news when we are recording this. It tends to be the news right now. Is this the CEO of Chipotle was just poached by Starbucks?
Really?
Yeah. And his package is $173 million or something like that. Something $100+ million. Now to make $100 million as a owner of a company means you build at least $1 billion company in revenue.
Right.
To take that away. I mean, when you sell it, maybe you'll have a payday.
Right.
Now, you have to build $1 billion company to make $100 million, maybe. Like, still then it's a huge maybe that do you really get to walk away with it. This guy is a CEO of a company. He never started a business, I think.
That's
I mean,
insane.
I didn't really study his background.
Right.
But he's like in his 50s, probably. It looks like he's in his 50s. He's collecting $100 and something million over the next 5 or 7 years, whatever it is.
Amazing.
Being the CEO of a company. So there are more millionaires in the world doing a job. So first of all, if anybody is going, hey, listen, I have to start a business, you don't.
You don't.
It's
not for everybody.
For the matter, I often tell entrepreneurs, if you're making less than 300 grand and you have been an entrepreneur for more than 7 years, you probably are better off getting a job because you'll make more money and you'll probably be happier.
That's a harsh truth.
It's a harsh truth, but it's
the truth.
If you're making less than 300 grand, means you're doing less than $1 million. Actually, you're doing just about $1 million.
Yeah.
And you're taking everything home because 30% margin is huge
Right.
in a business. And if that's the truth, then you probably can get a job for $500,000 right now, to be very honest, because you can go work for a company that does 10. Your skills are highly valuable to them. They'll probably pay you a lot more. You might not straight up salary, but including bonuses, you'll probably walk away with 400 or 500 grand with a lot less stress.
Right.
Right. So again, it's everybody's wired differently. Some people just cannot do a job. I like being in risk. I like being in pain. Go for it. Keep doing entrepreneurship.
I like
Nothing
being
wrong with it.
uncomfortable.
I am with you 100%. I am like that. It's very hard for me to follow instructions. But I'm okay. I don't necessarily love the pain, but I'm comfortable with it. Right. So anyways, how do you go from an intern to a CEO? Right. To go from an intern to CEO, there is really 3 critical factors. First is your awareness of what is it that the company needs that nobody's willing to do. For lack of a better term, let's call it white spaces. These are things that a company absolutely needs.
How many hats can you wear?
It doesn't have to be at the same time. It's just gaps in the company.
Got it.
And they're obvious because you talk about it all the time, or people talk about it all the time, but they just talk about it. They don't do anything about it, right? And sometimes they're little things. There's a movie that came out a few years ago called The Intern. Have you ever seen it? It's Anna Hathaway and Robert De Niro, right?
No, I have
Beautiful
not
little
seen it.
movie, very simple movie, like feel-good movie, right? And the story pattern is there's this retired guy who's tired of being retired. So he goes, finds a senior intern role in an upcoming startup.
Okay.
It's run by Anne Hathaway. And Anne Hathaway goes every day, and she's really bothered, really bothered by this one desk where everybody just leaves shit. Whatever nobody needs, it will just leave it there. Not trash, but just stuff.
Right.
Right? Nobody organizes
Miscellaneous.
it. And every day she passes by and she goes, damn, somebody fixed this table. And nobody's fixing it. This intern comes along, he's not getting a job because the founder thinks, who's a 70-year-old man, what can he really do? He goes, fixes that desk one day. That one act makes Anne Hathaway's character go, I want to know this guy. It's a white space. But sometimes that's that small, right? And sometimes it's big, like, oh, nobody is checking our analytics. It's a big space. So whatever that space is, look for white spaces. And if you can fulfill that space, you will gather a lot more attention than anybody else who's just doing their job. And most people are just doing their job, right?
Just trying to get a paycheck.
Yeah, they're going, oh, if I do this, I get my paycheck. And then even when they're not doing their job, they're complaining about the job they're doing. They're not really trying to ask the question of what moves this company. They're not interested in the growth of the company. They're interested in why is the company not paying me more?
And in corporate America today, I read an article that says that most people only work about 2.5 to 3 hours a day.
Because
the rest
you don't
is
need to.
talking, social media. Yeah.
But you don't.
You don't.
Nobody.
No.
Nobody. Don't tell yourself to lie. I mean, literally, there was a podcast I was doing yesterday. I said the same thing. That like, if an entrepreneur says, hey, I'm working 12-hour days, you're lying to yourself.
Yes.
There is nothing to do for 12-hour days. There is absolutely nothing. If you're qualified and you have skills, you cannot work for 12-hour days. Firstly, because intellectually, brain capacity-wise, it's impossible for you to deliver for 12 hours straight. You need a break, and you need many of them. You need refueling. You need to go to the gym. You need to do many things to have the capacity to deliver 12 straight hours, right? And even if you can, let's say, your productivity goes down significantly after the third hour.
For sure.
Right? Except if you're interacting with the world. So the only people who can work 12-hour days is because they're not actually working, they're interacting.
Okay.
Because this is an energy feedback loop, right?
Got it.
I'm getting energy every time I'm interacting with you.
For sure.
So I am not necessarily, I don't call this work.
Right.
Like this is not work.
Yeah.
You know, I have never met an entrepreneur who says 12 straight hours on computer and it was productive. No, it's not. It's after the third hour, you're bullshitting. You're on social media, you're procrastinating, you're being mad
You're
at
just
things.
calling other things work.
Yeah.
Right? And you're adding it to that clock.
Yeah, you're adding to the clock. You're thinking about work. You add everything to it. You feel busy. You feel like you're doing something meaningful. It's not actually. You don't stop lying to yourself. And most of your team members are also lying to themselves. And I have tracked it. This is with data. I've analyzed my team. I consult a lot of companies, and I've analyzed their teams. Nobody has worked more than 3-4 hours. You cannot. There's not enough work in the world to keep us that busy.
Right.
It's not. Unless if you're doing physical labor. That's a different thing. Physical labor is, hey, listen, I got to go clean. I get it. Like, then you may be slogging 15 hours a day.
Right.
I get that part. But if you're an intellectual worker, which is about 80-85% of people in the world right now, there is nothing to do. There is nothing.
Go home and clean your house.
Procrastinating. You're talking to people.
For
You're
sure.
thinking about work. You're cribbing about work. You're doing all the other shit. You're not actually
Looking
working.
at food.
Yeah. You're doing random shit. You're not actually working.
Right.
So with that understanding, first of all, if you want to progress in a career, ask if there are white spaces. Because that other hours that you're messing around and doing stupid shit,
Yes.
you could be doing that white space. And every time you fill a white space, you are a little bit more noticed, right? So you have the attention of people that are around you. Not only the managers, everybody. Because everybody wants on their team.
A team player.
Somebody who's a team player, somebody who goes, oh shit, that was broken, I fixed it. I'm like, that person should be on my team. Now everybody's fighting for you, right? And when everybody's fighting for you, guess what you are? A highly valued person.
When did you realize that you had the eye to notice white spaces?
Everybody has the eye for noticing white spaces. Everybody knows what the gap is. It's the
But you chose to
ability-
interact with it, right?
Yeah, I've always been a curious person, which also I think makes me a great coach, is because I'm a very curious person. I'm interested in what's happening. I'm
Right.
interested in the. You can call it the secret sauce. You can call it the white space.
The
You can call it
know-how.
what makes somebody tick.
Right.
I'm just interested, and that's really what it is. And it's not that yes I had it, but it's also something that I nurture. Right? You can nurture interest or being interested as a
Right.
person, right? Being curious as a person. It's just an act of asking questions and being interested in the answer and staying curious and present to it. And so that's the first thing. Notice white spaces. The second thing is always look for a higher value skill and learn it. Right? Most people would take a degree and that's what they want to do for the rest of their life. Well, guess what? You yes become a specialist, and yes, specialists get paid a little bit, but specialists, the way specialists get paid a little bit more, or the ones who get really, really well paid, is maybe 10% of specialists or 15%, because they become the top of the industry. They become kind of the consultants or the standard bearers of the industry.
Right.
85% are just specialists that they can be traded with any other specialist. They're not actually.
They don't stand out.
They won't stand out,
Yeah.
right? But the people who get paid more is who take the specialization but then keep upskilling themselves in soft skills.
Keep evolving.
Yeah, in soft skills. Like, all right, I already know how to code. I'm going to stack on AI. Or I'm going to stack on how to work with people. I'm going to stack on being a better leader, better communicator, make great presentations,
Yes.
be charismatic, communicate, be able to present an idea, express a vision, write a vision statement. All of these things, which sound like, well, this is very so in the air. The more in the air, more soft these skills are, the more valuable you become, because
sure.
guess what is needed after a point? A team leader, a manager, a CEO, a CTO, a CMO. Those are all soft skills. Most people don't look at those skills and don't practice those, don't learn those skills. They think, I've done my college education, I read the books then, I don't need to
Right.
do anything now. That's not how this works. You are an ever-evolving learning environment. So I went from intern to CEO. What you may not know is in those 6 years, I played every role that a person can play in a company. I was an intern, then I was a project manager. Then from a project manager, I became a business manager. From a business manager, I became a CTO of the company. From CTO of the, which is completely different, right?
Right.
From CTO, I became the launch manager or the overall launch manager of the company. I became the CMO of the company. I even collaborated with the CFO of the company to really organize our finances of the
Wow.
company. I played along with the CHRO of the company to get the team in order. I was somebody who actually was kind of playing operations role in the company. And then literally when the company said we need a CEO, there was nobody else who was more qualified than I was. Hell, I was playing CEO before I was CEO,
Right.
right?
You were
I was-
already the CEO
Yeah,
before
anybody
they
in
even
the
asked
team.
you.
Yeah. Anybody on the team, they're like, if Ajit says yes, it's a yes, because he just knows everything. He knows how this comes together. He knows how to pitch it. He knows how to sell it. He knows how it impacts the business. He knows everything. So not because I was just data gathering, it's because I had done all the roles, because I was upskilling myself every single time. So more upskilling you do, the faster you grow. Right now, I was in a smaller container because this company
Yeah.
was still small. 40 million is not a big company, but 35 million when I became the CEO, it was maybe 32 or whatever, something like that. So it's not a big company. It's just 100 employees. So you can stand out much easily in 100 employees. But even a large company, if you keep upskilling, you're standing out more and more because you're one person that people can go, I can ask that guy. He knows all the answers because he understands everything. Right? He has done the roles. He has upskilled himself. He knows how to communicate. He knows how things come together. Right? So that's the second thing. Keep upskilling. Don't stop. The more upskilling you do, the faster your income goes within the frame of an organization and how you go from intern to CEO. And lastly is the thing that people don't practice enough. It's negotiation. You need to know how to negotiate. Negotiate for everything. You can negotiate for your salary. You can negotiate for your title. You can negotiate between team members. You can negotiate for whatever needs to happen, what doesn't need to happen. You can negotiate deals. You need to learn how to negotiate. Negotiation is one of those undervalued, under-trained skill that probably will yield at least a 10% increase in your income every single time you get better at it.
Wow.
So every year or every 2 years, you can increase your income by 10% just by negotiating. Or you can save money just by negotiating, especially in America. Because nobody negotiates here.
Most are so
Negotiation
scared.
is
Yeah.
so great here because nobody knows how to deal with it. So if you learn a little bit of negotiation, you go a really long way.
People are so scared of it.
Yeah, people won't even ask. And I tell this story. It's kind of a quick, funny story. Is in when we first moved to U.S. My wife is American, and we moved to U.S. and we moved because we wanted to have a child, and we decided that's the place we want to have our kids. And so we move here. My wife decides she wants to do home birth. She's doing the home birth, 40 hours of labor at this point, and we're like, she's exhausted and tired. We're like, let's go to the hospital. You're real tired. She's like, yes, let's choose some epidural. Let's get the baby out. I'm exhausted at this point. So we go to the hospital. We are at the hospital. We have the baby, but of course we were not planning to go to the hospital. So we didn't tell our insurance. We didn't check where we need to go. All that fun stuff. So about
All
7
that
days
fun
later,
stuff.
all that fun stuff, the things that we should have cared for, we just didn't. And 7 days later, we get this bill of $20,000.
Oh my.
And $20,000 for having a baby for one night. Like we were there for maybe one night.
Yeah.
Just one night, right? And so I go, babe, like America is expensive, man. Like $20,000 to have a baby in Compton, because that was where our doctor was, and that's where we could go at that time. It was like Compton is not even like place where people can afford 20 grand.
Right.
How is anybody doing this? This is insane. That's why America is in debt.
Yes.
And she says, hold on. She calls the hospital. She says, I got this bill. Is this for real? We're like, yes. We're like, I'm not paying it. I don't have the money. And they go, well, you got to pay it. That's your bill. Like, no, I'm not paying it. They go, how much are you willing to pay? And she goes, well, I'm going to pay you $2,000. She's like, no, our bill is 20 grand. We can't give you for $2,000. She's like, oh, that's all I got. So they go, well, what about 18? Like, no. 15? No. 13? No. 10? No. 8? No. 5? No. They finally settled for $2,500.
Wow.
So $20,000 bill got negotiated down to $2,500.
Just by making a phone call.
Just a 30-minute phone call. It wasn't even like for 3 hours she was on the call. No, it was 30 minutes.
Wow.
You can negotiate anything. And then, and you can do that anywhere, like really. Like you just have to open your mouth, speak your truth, and know what you want, and you will most likely get it, because nobody negotiates here. But if you learn how to negotiate, 10, 15%, you will just make extra just because you negotiate it.
What a nugget. What a gem.
And in companies, people don't do it. People don't
No,
negotiate their
nobody does it.
salaries. Yeah.
Everyone lives in their little frame, in their little box. And as you're talking, all I can think about is how an outside the box thinker you are. When it was clear that that's since birth, right? Did your dad being an entrepreneur have anything to do with you thinking outside the box? Or was it just the fact that maybe being in a house with 23 people, you had to think outside the box in order to have some space, have some freedom, have some air? You are such an outside the box thinker that there are no frames for you. It's very, very unique.
Thank you. And I don't know if I was born that way, but I definitely have. I think I was born interested. I think that's what I would say. I think outside the box thinking is maybe too big, because not in everything in life I'm not an outside the box thinker. It's not a default setting for me.
Right.
I think it's more because when I'm so interested in things that it makes me curious, and because of that I study like a maniac. I read 50 books a year, and I take 2-3 programs any given year.
50 books a year.
Oh, easily. Sometimes more.
Wow.
I mean, I don't really read them anymore. I just listen to them. But
Same.
I am consuming insight, and I'm not just consuming. I'm actually listening. So it's not just like passively playing on the background, and I'm washing dishes. No, I'm actually consuming it in an active form. For me, it is movement. So I walk when I'm listening.
Okay.
And that makes it more palatable in my brain and my mind. So that's kind of how I consume information, but it's more because of curiosity. And now I also interact with thousands of coaches every year, so that allows me to get a lot more insight in anything, really.
Yeah.
But I think it's more about interest. And the only thing that my father did by being an entrepreneur is to tell me not to be one, because that was his story, right? His truth was entrepreneurship is not fun, because they were not able to be abundant with it. He was like, it's torturous. It's not a great career to have. Go get a job. That's much better. I think being interested is something that I probably got from my father and my grandfather. They were very interested people. And I know that for sure because they constantly challenged anything that anybody said, like constantly. They were like, somebody says something about religion, they will go, well, why? prove it to me. Let's talk
Right.
about it. Let's debate it. So they're interested people, and so I am an interested person because of that.
I was going to ask you, why do you think you still became an entrepreneur even though your father told you not to? But then you told me that he also taught you to question everything.
Yeah.
So you probably questioned, why not? Why not become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, and yeah, you can say that because I questioned it, but it's also because I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I wasn't trying to be an entrepreneur. I
Right.
wasn't trying to be anything really. I was
Right,
just
but
trying
usually
to figure
your
it
dad
out.
telling you don't do it,
Yeah.
most kids would just, okay, dad, I won't become an entrepreneur. Right?
That's not my frame.
Yeah.
That's not how I think. I don't think about that for anything. I'm what you would say is contrarian. Is that the right word?
Yep.
I tend to disagree with pretty much anything, which is also a pain in the ass, especially if you're my wife. Because you're like, why do you have to debate everything with me? But it keeps me curious. It keeps me interested, and I am an interested person.
Let's go a little bit deeper. I want to know, what role does God play in your life?
God is tricky. So I don't really follow a religion. So if I could separate religion and God for a second,
Okay.
what I do believe is in infinite intelligence, if I may call it that. And that infinite intelligence may resonate as God to some people. It may be Bhagwan, which is Indian version of saying God to some people. It might be Shiva. It could be Shakti. It could be Allah. I don't know that.
Right.
So I don't necessarily subscribe to religion. But what I love about religion is if you take out the dogma, they are some of the best personal growth books you can ever read.
I agree.
They're written beautifully. They make perfect sense for the time they were written in. So some of the
Yes.
stuff becomes dogmatic because it was just a different time it was
Yeah.
written in. If they would be written in today's time, it would probably be written differently because it'll be in context. But religion's promise was beautiful. Religion's outcome, maybe not so much.
Right. The
I mean,
execution of that
sometimes it is
promise.
very helpful. Religion has saved a lot of lives as much as it's caused a lot of wars.
Yeah.
Because when you are challenged, when you are struggling, you want to believe in something. It's easy to believe when somebody says, just believe in God because I did.
Right.
You know, I'm not saying it's the best path. I don't know the best path either, right? But what I'm saying is there's a usefulness to religion
Yes.
if practiced right and if we can remove the dogma from it.
Gives you a comfort, right? Something to
gives
fall
you
back
faith.
onto. Yeah.
Something to fall back
Yeah.
on. It gives you hope.
Yes.
It gives you that there is a chance and that you don't have to feel like I got this all by myself.
Right.
Right. Instead of that, you go, no, there's a higher power. It gives you that confidence in the pursuit that you're
I'm
doing.
not alone.
I'm not alone.
Yeah.
And that somebody's got me or something's got me. And there is, and I call it infinite intelligence because the more and more I think about it, more and more it is present that we don't know really anything. That if science says there was a big bang, if somebody, and at least I haven't found an answer, maybe somebody has answered it, but I haven't found it, is that if you go, well, there was a big bang, and what was before that?
Yes.
And the answer is nothing. Like, what caused the big bang? We don't know that.
Right.
Okay, so you could say that was God, right? You could say it was Shiva. You could say it was Shakti. You could say it was Allah. You could say it was Jesus. I don't know who
Right.
caused it, but something caused it, right? So scientifically, there's a point we stop, and religion-wise, also there's a point we stop because we don't know something beyond what a text says, right? So essentially, we all are really, in essence, saying there is infinite something where we all came from. Like Big Bang is suggesting there was a bang, and then the universe was created, and we got created in the universe, which means we all came from Big Bang.
Let there be light.
Right. So we came from Big Bang. We came from nothing. Right. Big Bang. The black hole is nothing.
Right.
Right. At least the understanding of, and maybe just a lot of things, but I'm not super scientific as well, so I'm not going to go into the science of it. God is, it was just big nothing, and God said, "I'm going to create creation." Same is for the Indian religion. It's like there's nothing, and then the Shiva Shakti together, and they said we're going to make things, and they assign duties, and they create universe. Great, so awesome. Brahma makes Brahman, and then Vishnu gives some power. The Indian mythology is similar, right?
Right.
So all the mythology, all the religious texts kind of are suggestive of that there was nothing, and then something happened, and we all got created, right? Before science and after science, kind of the logic is similar.
Right. Very.
So if that was true in either of the scenarios, which means we are all connected to something that's infinite or came from something that was infinite and is continuously expanding based on all the text or the understanding of text that I have at least,
Right.
is that we are ever evolving, ever moving, and there's a cycle to all of this, which effectively means we are connected to the same intelligence that is. And I think all religions somehow suggest that God is within you. And if that's true, that means infinite is within me.
Yes.
If you were to believe science, we all came from the black hole, which means we're all part of it, which means black hole is within me or the infinite is within me. So all being said, it's suggestive of that there is an infinite sense of intelligence that resides within me and that somehow we are all connected. And that's really my understanding of God at this point, is it's not associated to a religion, but it's suggestive of that we are all one.
Would you say that God is something that you rely on when you're dealing with struggles, failures, setbacks? Is that something that you go to or no?
God, no. I go to infinite intelligence mostly when I am seeking an answer. When I'm in pain, I don't necessarily seek God, no. I go for peace to religious locations if I have been to or if I'm going to. It's mostly because I find a sense of peace there.
Got it. So how do you deal with failure and setbacks?
At this point, I shrug them off mostly because I see them. So my understanding of, or my relationship with failure now is it's part of who I need to become. And so I don't necessarily take anything as too big or too small. Everything just is.
Right.
And that creates a sense of movement for me. And I think movement is what really helps me deal with failures a lot more easily. I think my response to failure is less than one day. Like a big failure. A small failure, probably a couple of minutes.
You let it go very easily.
Very easily at this point. I'm like, because I know there's a grand plan. So maybe you can say I am leaning into infinite because I believe there is a grand plan. And I believe that grand plan is absolutely designed for my purpose and for me to live the best life, that I have the blessing of consciousness, I have the blessing of my grandfather, I have the blessing of the infinite, I have the blessing of infinite intelligence and wisdom and everything. And so I'm unaffected by the journey, I am just enjoying it. So even failure is an experience of joy in a way, because I know there's something, and we can all do this, by the way, this is not complicated. If you really take a minute to really look at our past, anybody that's watching or listening, and if you look at your challenges or the failures that you consider as failures in your life, you would find that right after that, there was a breakthrough. And you became something, or you became someone that you were like, damn, I really wanted to be that person because I needed to be that person to get to where I'm getting to. Right. So once you establish a relationship with challenges and failures, you go, it's okay. It's part of the thing. You can struggle for a few minutes. Of course, you're a human being. You will have emotions. That's unreal to not have them.
Right.
But how you work with them is what's important. So you have the emotions, you experience it, and then you move on.
Tell me what coaching means to you, and really, like, what does it mean to you to watch you build these coaches, knowing that you have instructed them, that you have created the foundation that they're using to go help other people? What does that mean to you?
My core values in life is love and service. Those are my two foundational values that I operate from every moment of my life, or at least I intend to. And with all intentionality, I lean with everything is an act of love for me, or I want to only operate from a place of love, and I want to be in service at all times. So when I get an opportunity to work with anyone, to be able to support them personally, professionally, or in the capacity of training them on how to support somebody else, it is, for me, an expression of my value. So it's basically me expressing and living my values. That's really what my relationship with that work is. What I have come to learn about myself is I don't, at this point in my career, in my life, I don't really work for money. Money is great. I love money. There's nothing, I have no hate for it. I appreciate it. I enjoy it fully as much as I can in my life. But that's not why I do what I do. What I do is because I have fallen in love with the idea of thank you. we do these events once a year. We bring our certified students. They come to different parts of the world, wherever we are doing it. We get like 1,000 people or so coming in
Nice.
to different European places to come hang out for like 4 days, 3 to 4 days.
Very cool.
And the reason why I love that event, well, yes, I get to be on stage and I get to meet my community, all of that, is because from morning till evening, I get to listen to stories of people who come in and tell me how my work, has impacted them personally or impacted their clients or impacted their families. And I get this beautiful moment when somebody comes and says, thank you. And that's it. That's all I want. I don't even, it's okay. I don't need any money from you. I need nothing from you. But that moment when somebody tells you and you know they mean it, like they're not
That you
saying
changed their
it,
lives.
they don't even have to say anything else. They just look into your eyes and say thank you. Or sometimes I'm having dinner with my friends at that time and somebody would just come tap my shoulder and just say thank you. That means everything to me. Sometimes I'm talking on stage and somebody will go, oh, thank you. And that's everything to me. That's what I'm collecting at this point. That's what I am valuing the most right now. So that's what means the world to me right now, is just thank you. You don't even have to tell me why. If it feels too much to say, just thank you, and that's enough. So that's what I'm chasing right now.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
I was gonna ask you. I think the answer is yes, but I want you to go deeper into it. Does the future look bright?
Oh, absolutely. Future is beautiful. What's the context of that question?
Meaning, do you think that human struggle and human chaos, do you think that's going to bring us down to the brink of killing ourselves, or are we going to outgrow that, and are we going to evolve past this bullshit and get to a place where we can all live at harmonious peace?
It's fascinating because actually the world has only gotten better. There's actually more harmony in the world than has ever been. It has more abundance than the world has ever had. We have more food than we ever imagined we could have. We have no famine. We know how to deal with extreme situations like COVID, and we can develop drugs faster than we ever had. We have more technology at our disposal than we have ever had. We have more resources at our disposal that we ever have. We know how to use or create value from renewable resources than we have ever had. There is absolutely nothing that suggests that the world would destroy itself. Absolutely zero evidence from my point of view. If you look at data, that the world is on the path to destroy itself. Now, can we do it? Human beings are capable of everything, including destroying themselves, and that can happen in a blink of an eye. I'm not saying that's not the case, but if I have to look from the current reality, while we may have weapons of mass destruction, we may create chaos whenever we feel like, we may shit on each other and start wars for no reason. Overall, if you look at the capital of human beings, if you look at the progress of the world, it is only on a net positive. There is no net negative.
I couldn't agree more.
Absolutely not negative. There are some things that take a little time, like technology takes time to develop.
Right.
And sometimes it takes a little hot minute for us to catch up to that. But in the timeline of human beings, we have firstly existed for too little a time to really matter that much, if you really think about it. But even if you thought we did matter that much, we've only done good things in net gain. Of course, we've done a lot of shitty things.
Right.
But in the net, we have learned from our mistakes and we moved on and we've done better things next time. We are a very progressive species. And as a species, we have only shown that we get better. So I don't see any reason to believe that the world's going to destroy itself. We are going to meet challenges. And one of the reasons why I like coaching or pursue this career of coaching and I pursue training coaches is because what happens with abundance is there comes a lot of time abundance. And the more time abundance we have, more as human beings we ruminate. And the more we ruminate, we create problems that don't actually exist or shouldn't exist.
Right.
There are more reported cases of depression today.
I was
than
just going to go there.
Ago. More mental health problems in this generation than 2 generations, or 3 generations combined probably. Right? And it's not because there are new problems or there's some cathartic problems that people didn't have before. They have different kinds of problems, but they had problems, and this generation has problems, and there will always be some problems, and that's fine. We just have so much abundance of time, so much abundance of resources that we don't know what to do with ourselves. And so we consume too much media. We let that media sit with us without actually thinking about it.
Right.
That gets us to ruminate more, gets us to feel we are not good enough, gets us to feel we are behind.
Too much
gets us
pleasure.
To blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. And while all that is happening, we don't have a system to regulate any of it. We have no system to regulate emotions because we don't teach that.
Right.
We have no system to regulate our minds because we don't teach that.
No.
And we don't actively seek it. So what will happen? More time abundance would mean more and more people thinking they are not good enough. They're not doing well enough. They're not confident. They cannot be successful. They cannot have a good relationship. These are all real world problems. They can't
Yes.
they can't be good parents. Whatever the heck it is that you're telling yourself as a story right now, which is absolutely not true.
Yeah.
But you need a coach.
And you're comparing
to help
yourself
you.
all day
Yeah.
to everybody.
And that is exactly why you need a coach. You need somebody to be by your side to say, hey, listen, let's organize your mind a little bit. Let's regulate your emotions a little bit. Because the more we do that, the more we have a capacity to be able to create from a place of creation instead of reaction.
Right.
We currently operate mostly from a place of reaction, right? Our field of consciousness has got contained so hard because we're taking all these thoughts that we had, and previously we would make a meaning, but we would move past it because
Right.
we didn't have time, we didn't have food. So we were like, I don't give a shit, I'm gonna go work, right?
Right.
There's no time to feel depressed, and that's one of the reasons why India or countries like India report much less depression rate than say a country like America.
Makes sense.
Right? Is because America has time to be
Yeah.
depressed.
The more in survival mode.
India's like, I got no time to be depressed. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
This is a rich person problem, right? In
Right.
India, that's literally, there's some people who say this is a rich person problem to be
Yeah.
depressed. I don't have the time to be depressed. I got to put food on the table.
Right.
I got to go work for it. I have to travel 2 hours to go to my job and come back 2 hours to be back with my family. I don't have time to be unhappy and depressed and all of that. I got to go do work, right? Survival mode, right?
Yeah.
So these are problems of organizing your mind. These are not problems that are unsolvable. These are problems that if we have the right tools, we can solve them. We can work with them. And it's a good problem to have in a way. Like think
Right.
about it, how much abundance you need to have. How much abundance that you need to have that in America, and this is to draw contrast to Americans. Your problems are obesity. Your problems are depression, mental health issues. Do you realize that how abundant you have to be obese?
Too much food.
Yeah, you have too much
Too much
food.
time.
Too much food, too much time, too much like space to really give you. That is like the situation is
Yes.
amazing. We have we've created, not created, but we've accidentally stumbled into problems
Yes.
that comes with abundance.
What a way to put it.
Yeah, contrastingly, think about a country that doesn't have the food, doesn't have the money, doesn't have the time, because they're not even thinking about these things. They really are not. In India, there's a small segment of society that has this problem. A large segment of society is saying, what are you talking about, bro? I'm working my ass off here to get some
I've got
food on
3
the table.
jobs.
Yeah, I got 3 jobs. Like, what are you talking about? I got no time for any of this, right? You go to China, people don't have that problem. Go to Malaysia, they have starting to have these problems. But you go to Singapore, they don't have these problems. There are a lot of countries, like in Indonesia, they're not having these problems. They're not obese. They're not getting overweight. They're not reporting depression.
Right.
It's not because they're spiritual people. It's because they don't have time for any of this, right? So it's an amazing... No, it's not an amazing problem to have, but it's an amazing situation to be in, that the
Yes.
quality of your problem is so great that it's I have too much food, I have too much time, I have too much money.
So tell me
Contrast.
how Mind Valley can help.
Well, that's what we've been trying to do. And we do it for globally. We're not only limiting ourselves to America. We're actually a really, really global company. In our company, we have about 60 or 70 nationalities that work. We're present in pretty much any country in the world. Maybe 50% of our customers are Americans, but 50% are from everywhere else in the world. So we're a very global organization. We cater to, we do events in Europe, we do events in Dubai, we do events in different parts of the world. We do events, of course, in America too. But we serve the whole world. We're very global as an organization. And we understand that while this currently may be highlighted in America,
Right.
this is going to be a problem everywhere. This is going to be a problem.
It started here
everywhere.
first.
It started because you have more
Right.
abundance,
It makes
you have
sense.
more time. You
Yeah.
were able to, you built a great economy and a great country.
Right.
And I think Americans forget that sometimes.
Yeah,
you
we do.
absolutely did build
Yeah.
an amazing economy.
It wears off quickly.
Yeah, it's amazing as a
Unfortunately.
country. The systems are amazing. Go somewhere else and see. Maybe not in Europe, because Europe is also the same problems
Right.
though, right? Same mental health
Go
problems.
to South
same
America.
situations, yeah.
Same side of the
Go
world.
anywhere else,
Yeah.
and you would go. you have built something great. It is absolutely undoubted. There's no reason to say America is not a good country. It's a
Right.
phenomenal country, right? And with contrast, I can say I've traveled the world. I've traveled to many countries in the world. There are many amazing places. I'm not discounting them.
For sure.
But systems, abundance-wise, America has done a great job. There's no two doubts about it, right? So, at least from my point of view. So,
Right.
should know that, like America, all the countries will be more and more abundant in the coming generations, right?
Yeah.
Because we all are chasing it.
China caught up in what, 30 years?
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't fully caught up to
Well,
America, but yes,
but it's pretty close,
Yeah,
right?
it's pretty
Yeah.
close. Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there. And I hope the whole world gets there, right?
Right.
Because why not? Why not have the whole world be
Right.
as abundant as possibly can be? And I think there's
Yeah.
enough abundance. There's infinite intelligence. There's infinite money. There's infinite abundance for us to all feel the benefits of abundance. While that happens, we also must learn that with every benefit comes a challenge. Like we just talked about,
For
mental
sure.
health issues, more time, so more rumination.
Yeah.
More food means if you're uncontrolled, you can eat too much and get overweight or be obese and so on and so forth, right? So these are all risks of great things that happen in a country.
Right.
And so the whole world may go through that season. And the more the world goes through that season, more and more do we require tools to be able to support it. And that's where Mind Valley comes in. That's where coaching comes in. That's where even therapy comes in.
Right.
Is for you to choose whichever is your best path to what's your desire. So we live in a time where you can really have a desire and actually fulfill it within your lifetime, right? This is not true all the time. That was
No.
not true even 100 years ago.
Right.
You could have the desire and you can die with that desire in your heart and you never have even a shot at it. Today, you not only have a shot at
That's
it,
so
you have
true.
a shot at it in the next 10 years.
Yeah. And a
Like-
good shot.
And a good shot, like
Yeah.
a very reasonable shot
Yeah.
where you can like really set your tone and you can go like, this is what I want and I will have it in 10 years, you can have it. It's not just me saying nice words.
Right.
It is 100% true. You can have it.
Most people can't see that far, 10 years, unfortunately.
Which is a challenge, right?
Yeah.
Which is why companies like Mind Valley comes in. We have
Yeah.
a system called the Life Book. Life Book is a program where we say determine 12 areas of your life and let's write down what your life will look like in the next 5 years in these 12 areas of your life. You write that life book. It's called Life Book because as you write it, you go, this is how my life's going to be. And you will find if you do that exercise, you actually will have a life very close to it. Very close to it, if not exactly.
Right.
And we've done it enough times. I've done it enough times.
Because you're
Thousands of
GPSing
students-
your way there, right?
Yeah, thousands of students have done it. We have thousands of case studies of people doing that program saying, oh, I wrote it and I'm kind of there, right? There's an
incredible.
exercise that I teach in all of our programs really called the perfect day, which is write your perfect day 3 years from now. And if you write your perfect day 3 years from now, you'll realize in about 2 years you're living it.
I've done this exercise before. It's a
You've
great
done
one.
it, yeah.
Yes.
And you might have noticed that when you
Yes.
first write it, 30%, 40% is already true when you're
Yes.
writing it. And the remaining comes true in the next 2, even if you're writing it for 3 years.
Right.
Right? So that's kind of simple things. Like even if you just determine it, and it doesn't have to be perfect, it can be whatever's present to you right now. If you create and orient yourself for it, you will be able to create it. And most of us have that chance right now. Like we really have a real shot. I mean, I'm an example of it. I come from like, this does not make sense. But it makes sense if you look at what I'm writing for myself all the time. It makes perfect sense.
Right.
Because I knew this is where I want to go. And so I could make it happen. I'm a guy that when I started in this industry, this is for real, Leo. When I first started in the industry, when I first said I'm going to build have a coach, when I first said I'm going to be a coach, I was at this mastermind style thing I got invited into because of a friend. And she was like, hey, come along. These are the people that you think are legends. Let me go introduce you to all of them. This was like a private, in a suite thing that happened
Very
for like
nice.
8, 10 people. And I go in and I'm introducing myself and there's a person across me that I was really very admiring of at the time. And he looks at me and he goes, you're never going to make it. This was a life coach, by the way. And I was like, what do you mean? Like that was so odd for anybody to say across the room. It's not even like he's standing next to me. He's standing right in front of me and
Wow.
saying that. Like, what do you mean? It's like, listen, you're a brown guy with an accent. It doesn't work.
Wow.
Right? So that was my introduction to coaching.
That's
And-
great motivation.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't doing it for him anyways,
Right.
but I realized that was one of the reasons why. I was like, if that's somebody saying it means how many people are thinking that? And that's just not fair. Not in this world, not in 2020. This is like 7 years ago, so it was 2018 or 2017 or something like that. But I was like, not in 2017. Not in 2024.
No.
That's not true. I got a shot. You got a shot.
For
Everybody gets a
sure.
shot. There is no reason for anybody to think that they're too skinny, too fat, too big, too small, too white, too brown, too black, to whatever you think, to this, to that.
all
Doesn't
irrelevant.
matter.
I
It's all
agree.
irrelevant. All
Yeah.
of us got a shot. If I can make it, you can too. Because according to that guy, I don't have a shot. And I train 10,000 coaches every single year.
That's incredible.
I don't think he has trained 10,000 coaches in his entire life. He's not even doesn't even have a career now because I haven't seen him in a while. So anybody that tells you anything,
Power to
anybody
you.
that says you don't have it or you cannot do it or this is not possible, hasn't understood how the world works anymore.
Yeah, they don't get it.
Everybody's got a shot.
And they'll be left behind.
They will be left behind.
Yeah.
And everybody's got a shot. You just have to take it. You just have to take it. But you have to take it. You cannot think it. You cannot manifest it in the 5D without doing anything in this physical reality.
Right.
You have to absolutely take the shot. You have to go stand in front of the camera. You have to go coach somebody. You gotta write that book. You gotta do whatever that is that shot
Right.
requires. But you have a real shot. Take it.
Where do you see yourself in 5-10 years?
Well, currently my focus or my complete endeavor is on coaching and training coaches, and that's where my focal point is for the next 5 years.
Is
That's
there
where my
a number of
orientation-
coaches that you want to train and reach, or is
I
that
want to coach 1 million coaches.
1 million coaches?
Yeah,
It's
I don't
incredible.
have a timeline for it.
Okay.
It could be
Whatever,
through
yeah.
my lifetime. I
Right.
don't care.
Do you know where you're at in that goal?
I've coached about 25,000.
That's incredible.
Yeah, in the last 4 or 5 years since I've started training coaches. Like I've built business before. I've coached
Right.
myself a lot, but
Right.
coaching coaches to be or training coaches to be coaches or better coaches, only about 4 years, 3.5, 4 years.
Got it.
We've done about 25, maybe 30,000 at this point, something around that. And the reason I say million coaches is because I really do see the world becoming more abundant. And I really do see world going into a situation where we could really help each other. Especially we'll have more time abundance with AI. AI is literally, we build technologies to get more time, but we don't know what to do with the time we get. And that's important that we learn
Wow.
it. Otherwise, we will create a crisis where we need to create celebration.
Don't let that go over your head,
Yeah.
what you just said. We're creating tools to give us more time, but we have no idea what to do with it.
Yeah.
That's so well said.
Yeah, we don't know what to do with it. And so something that we should celebrate is having more time, but we end up
Right.
creating crisis for it. Right. And I would love to be able to make a little dent, a little contribution to that. And I think million is too little number. So there's more to be created. I hope more people join the momentum and join the journey and create
Yeah.
this. Because million is nothing for what
No.
like 4 or 5 billion people at this point. Or
No, we're
8 billion?
8.
8 billion people. A million coaches is nothing for that.
Nothing.
So there's more that we'll need, but I feel I can at least contribute 1 million coaches in the next, I don't know how many years, but at least that's my endeavor for now.
There are so many coaching programs out there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think makes Mind Valley stand out so much?
It'll sound really, I don't know what's the right word for it. I don't want to condescend anyone, but we really genuinely do care in our design of programs. We genuinely do care in how we deliver the programs. So most of the coaching programs, and I'm not saying it's true for everyone, but a lot of the coaching
Right.
programs are designed with the interest of how can I make money. Our programs are designed for what is called an NPS score. An NPS score is a Net Promoter Score. Net Promoter Score is basically, at the end of the program, we send you an email or a message somehow, and we ask you this question: how likely are you to recommend this program to a friend? Right? Not just recommend to yourself, or did you like it? No. Are you likely to recommend this program to a friend? Because when you ask that question, somebody has to really take a step back and say, I love it enough that I want my friend to do it,
Right.
right?
I want to share with somebody else.
Yeah, I want to share with somebody else, and not just my family, like a friend.
Right.
Somebody, and you have to pay for this program,
For
right? So
sure.
I'm sharing it with a friend, knowing that this is going to cost them $5,000 or $7,000, depending on the program, right? Or $4,000, depending on the program, right? So that question gets you to really go, do I like this thing or not, right? And we currently track our NPS. It's at 82 for most of our programs. So most of our certification programs are 82. They're over 80, all of them. Most of them are 82 or 83, something like that. And as an industry, first of all, we don't track it because we don't care as much, unfortunately. And some people who do track it usually report it around 30.
Okay.
Their NPS is usually 30, 32, and they think they're crushing it.
Wow.
Because it is considered crushing it, because if you really look at data and you look at the usage data of businesses, you will find that people don't even use the program. They don't even study it. We have about 95% completion rate. Our NPS goes 82, 83, 84. And the reason is because of how we design them.
That's incredible.
We design them and we deliver them with such great detail and so much insistence of community and friendship that is built within the frame that a person sees an overall change in their life, which is also why a lot of the people who do one certification with us, even if they don't use it, wants to do another one and another one. And so our repeat customers are really high. People want to do more programs with us, not because of any other reason. We're not giving them any additional, we don't make money promises at all. Like if you look at our marketing, we don't say you'll become a millionaire doing our program. Absolutely not. 0 times have I said that. But people like to do it because they know that they will have a personal transformation and they will learn a skill, like a real skill, not something that is very precise, only applicable in some scenarios. Now, this is a real skill that they will walk away with that will change their life.
Yeah.
Which is why right now, in total, we have collected about 2,800 case studies.
Wow.
2,008 written, documented
That's
case
a lot.
studies. This is not 5-star ratings. This is an actual, somebody took time to write, I got this out of this program. And some of them are letters, not
incredible.
paragraphs, right?
Yeah.
So we have 2,800 case studies. Clearly, that's why we have an NPS of 82, 83, 84. Our completion rate is over 90%. It's because we cared about it, right? And it's not that other people don't care, but this takes a different kind of dedication to say, I'm not interested in how much money I make till the time I know I made an impact. I will make the money, and I do. I think we do more revenue than most companies that are out there, especially in coaching. We probably way outperform any coaching institute right now, but it was never about that. Like I told you, my motivation is thank yous.
Right.
I'm more interested in those 2,800 case studies, and that's what motivates me every day more than what's in my bank account.
And I feel like the money comes when you're focused on thank you.
Yeah, it's like, it's any company that wins today, or any company that you have seen winning today, you love the product.
Right.
You don't care about anything else. You're like, I don't care if it was Steve Jobs or Tim Cook started the company. I love Apple products.
Right.
Right. So you don't care who started and how they created it. I mean, you do, but not really after a point.
Right.
Like unless they're causing social harm, you're like, I don't give a shit.
Sometimes even if
I
they're
need the
causing
product.
social harm, we don't
Sometimes
care.
we end up doing that, but we may disengage with the company because they are doing social harm.
For sure.
And I support that 100%, and I would do it too. But our primary reason to buy from a company is because we love what they're selling.
For sure.
The product.
Give me that
the
iPhone.
Value. Yeah, give me that iPhone. Give me that iPad. I
Yeah.
think you're using an iPad. The cameras, I see they're all like, they're clearly fans of Fujifilm here at this studio, right? So there's a reason why. Because they like maybe the lenses, maybe the way it sets up, maybe because it streams better. I don't know.
Right.
But there's a love and association with the quality of the product is why you buy the product. And that's why you keep buying the product. The Apple is so valuable because you didn't buy one iPhone from them.
No.
You bought it every 2-3 years, or every year, some of them, right? Even if there was marginally an upgrade to what you had last year, right? You still bought the next one.
One more
It's
pixel on
repeat
your
value.
camera.
Yeah, it's repeat value. And so once you switch your dialogue from how much it will make to what does it do, you realize that it actually creates a lot more value in the world outside. And when you create value in the world outside, you're rewarded. So it does go back to care. What's your value system? Like mine is service and love. So is it an act of love? And this is not just mine, like my team operates from these values.
Yeah.
And I literally presented that to the team saying, this is the value we'll operate from. So anytime you're about to respond to a customer on an email, if it is not an act of service, stop. If you're not coming from a place of love, stop. First get to that place.
No.
First think about service. Then reply to email and do what's the right thing to do. It doesn't matter if it's a little extraordinary, if it takes extra effort. If I have to get on a phone call, I don't care. Is it coming from a place of love? Is it an act of service? If that is true, you're doing it.
Have you read the Book of Love?
No. Oh, I've not even heard of it, for the matter.
I think you'd like
surprisingly.
it. It's a book.
That's a great name for the book.
It's a
by the
great
way.
name. Yes. It's a book based on Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
It's a book based on the true gospel of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
It was called the Book of Love.
Mm-hmm.
but it's a very good book. It's I'm not sure if it's fictional or non-fictional, to be honest. You believe what you want. Anyone believes what they want. But it's a great story on the power of love and how you should lead with love. I think you'd like it a lot. Yeah.
Seems like I got that message without
Yes,
even
without reading
the
the
book.
book. Exactly. Exactly. So I think you'd like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
With that said, where can people find you? What is your Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, your website, your coaching program? Where can people learn more about you?
So there's many ways to interact with me. First is that most social platforms, I'm at Real Coach Ajit. So go to Instagram, search for at Real Coach Ajit, and that's where you'll find me. If you're interested in any of our certifications, so we do life coaching certification, we do certification in money coaching, and we do certification for business coaching. And there are other certifications we do as well, hypnotherapy and all that. But if you're interested in directly learning my methodologies and how we are creating impact in the world, go to mindvalley.com/search, and you will see the listing of all of them. It depends on when this drops. We might be promoting some at a discount or enrolling our big cohorts at that time. I don't know. But definitely you will see all the listing there. And for anybody that's like, dude, I don't know if I want to cert, I'll follow you, but I want something to really know more about how you think and how you operate in the world. I have a free book that I'm giving away. Go to downloadlivebig.com. It's my book called Live Big. I just bought the rights back from the publisher.
Nice.
So I can give it away because I think it's a valuable document for anybody that is intending to start a business or grow a business. It is the insight that you need for your mind. It's not strategically designed to give you some operational efficiency. That's not what that book is.
Right.
That book is what you need when you're thinking about how I should grow my business and is it aligned with the life I want to live. So the right kind of dialogue that you need to have or the principles that you need to remember.
I love that. I'll make sure to add all those links down below. Now I'm going to quickly transition to our rapid fire questions.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a couple questions, about 9 or 10 questions, just to get to know you a little bit more. And then we're going to close out with the last question, which will be you giving us a tip or a nugget. So rapid fire question number 1. What is your favorite book? You've read so many. What is your favorite book?
Ooh, that's hard to pick one favorite book.
One that stands out to you.
Man. I mean, there's so many books that stand out to me. It depends on what we are trying to learn. Just for the context of, I'm guessing the people here may have already read it or heard about it, but Science of Getting Rich is great. Or Think and Grow Rich is great. If you're thinking money, these are great books to read. Modern money books that I love is Psychology of Money. So because we talked a lot about money, that's the things I'm giving away. There's so many books, man. I mean, if you're into relationships, Us is a great book. If that's something that you're working on right now, Us is phenomenal. There's so many books. Yeah, I mean, I can keep naming them.
Phenomenal. Favorite movie?
Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
Favorite food?
Indian food, of course.
Anything in specific?
No. I love variety of it. There's a thing called dosa in India and Italy. I love those. Those come from the southern part of India. Yeah.
Favorite car?
Not really into cars. I drive an X. I love it. Tesla X. Yeah, I love it. I like electric cars. I don't like the noisy, annoying cars. Not that guy.
Favorite song?
Favorite song? I don't have a favorite song.
Or artist?
No one in particular. I like Hindi music. People won't know what the hell I'm talking about. Yeah.
But that genre of music?
Yeah, that genre of music, because I understand the language and I like the poetry in it, and I like this really old songs from that genre, music that was created in like 1960s and 50s. So
Okay.
It's really old music. Yeah, it was more poetic.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah.
Very nice. I can see that. Favorite place to visit?
Home. Always great to go back home, wherever my family is.
You're the second person that answers that question. Home. Favorite hobby?
Writing. I love writing.
You write just to like
Just for myself.
Yeah.
For myself, poetry, articles, just for myself.
That's
Let me
awesome.
know,
Yeah.
Write
Very
for
cool.
myself, yeah.
Favorite sports team?
Don't have one. Don't watch sports at all.
Very interesting.
Don't even know what's happening at what time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite drink? Alcoholic or non-alcoholic, whatever it may be.
Water. Pretty much.
That has been the number one answer I've gotten is
Sparkling water,
water.
maybe sometimes with some lemon in it, but mostly water.
Ajit, if you can provide a tip or a nugget to a struggling person, struggling entrepreneur, someone who is in their pit, can't get out, can't see the light, what would you say to them?
Keep going. It's not as it's all gonna be okay. Life eventually figures it out, and you will figure it out. You've figured it out in the past. You'll figure it out in the future. Hard times are hard times when you're going through them. When you are past them, they're just times. So keep going. This too shall pass.
I like that. Hard times are just hard times, but when you pass, it's just times.
Yeah, that's true for any times, even good times. It's just good
Yeah,
times.
it's just good times.
Later on, they're just times. Your dreams are your daily life after a while, right? The best life that you imagine becomes your daily life. I mean, you live on a beach. I'm sure at one point in your life, you were like, that would be the dream, to be with my family on a beach.
100%.
Right by the beach. You live it every day, and you might not even recognize. I mean, I'm not saying you exactly, but I'm saying that happens for all of us. Where
For
we
sure.
go, that was my dream life at one point, but now it's just life.
Yes. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, it's beautiful. So yeah, keep going.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate the great conversation. I appreciate you sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, your energy with the world. I can see why you've done such great things. Your energy is contagious. Your curiosity gives me a level of curiosity about you that makes me want to really go in deep into Mind Valley and really learn what it's all about. So I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Leo, and thank you for giving me the space to communicate and asking wonderful questions and giving me the space and opportunity to speak to your audience.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're doing wonderful things. I cannot wait to see where Mind Valley goes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Guys, nuggets were dropped. Gems were spoken about. I hope you guys really took notes. I hope you guys go check out Ajit. Check out all the links below. Go buy his coaching program. If you're someone that you are in the coaching business and you're looking to better yourself, Mind Valley is the way to go. So like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and we'll see you guys next time.